Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, today we're bringing you an interesting video, one I was really hoping that we didn't have to make. So a little bit of breaking news here. But the United States is going to war, baby, and I'm not happy about it. And I don't think that you should be either. Today, Donald Trump just went on Truth Social about an hour ago and says the following. I even put it right here so that way you guys know it's all real. This is real life when you do these things. Actions have consequences. So he says, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow, and all planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. This is not another military in the world. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you. Your attention to this matters." Soak that in for a second, ladies and gentlemen. We just bombed not 1, not 2, but 3 fucking nuclear sites. Can you think of how insane that is? Right? And then he has the audacity to go on the next line and say, yeah, now's the time for peace. If it was the time for peace, don't you think that we shouldn't have bombed 3 nuclear facilities? If that's what you were really after, right? Don't you think that if you were really after peace, you'd have at least had some other proxy country do it, not the United States to drag our own citizens into it, right? And to drag our economy into the mix, right? Don't you think you could have done that instead? No, instead we have to have the United States drop bombs on Iran, which, by the way, the only reason that this is even relevant to begin with is because Donald Trump pulled out of the JCPOA, the Iran deal, as everybody likes to call it, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which gave IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Association, full authority to regulate and monitor Iranian government's nuclear dealings, right? And to make sure they were in compliance with not producing any nuclear weapons, which they were in full compliance of every single year. And Trump just decided to do away with that, right? Because it doesn't look good. And then what does he do? He puts sanctions on the country. And then what does he do? He bombs an Iranian general and almost sends the country into World War III, which was trending on Twitter for like a month, right? We should be thankful that we were flying by the skin of our teeth, that not to not get into a war. And what does he do? He gets elected to office, and one of the first things he does is try to start a war. It's ridiculous. It's obscene. It's unjustifiable. And this man should be indicted on crimes against humanity and war crimes. And I think that the United States government should even look into this unconstitutional offensive attack and try to get him impeached from office. This is insane. You're going to have American lives at stake. You're going to have civilian lives at stake now, right? Because of this, right? This is what you wanted. This is what you voted for if you voted for Donald Trump, right? Because he made this goal very clear. Some of his biggest donors were the Israeli PACs, right? The Israeli lobby, basically to say, hey, look, we want to take over Palestine, right? That was our goal, right? And then you could say, okay, well, what does it have to do with Iran? It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Iran. The fact is, as the Israeli government wants war to go on, and they want the United States government's support, right? And Trump has been behind them since day one. And so the second they start a little beef with Iran, I'm sure he knew about it behind the scenes. And the second they start start to beef up things with a country that we've had a little bit of, unstable relationship with, now all of a sudden maybe this is the perfect time to strike, right? And in this case, we didn't even need the false flag. Right, we didn't even need the false flag. I think it was the USS Nimitz, for example, is what everybody was talking about. We didn't even need it, right? He just gets us into a war anyways, which is ridiculous, and people should be ashamed of this behavior. This is immoral, this is unjustifiable, and this is something that people should really pause and think to themselves, why is this happening, and how can we get out of this right away? And so that's my two cents on the matter here. And so you can see this little image in the top left here. These places in Iran, these nuclear facilities here. They were talking about this too as well beforehand. There was actually even leaks from within the government itself saying that Donald Trump was probably going to attack Iran at some point. We didn't know when, but if he did do it, they said it was probably going to be on a weekend, so that way the market didn't react to it right away, so it didn't look as bad. Newsflash, it's going to be bad. Iran is a much bigger country than Iraq, and a much richer country, I might add. And so if we get involved in a war here, which, let's be honest, it's looking pretty likely now. I think the scales have, the balance has shifted the other way now. I think that would be, I think we're in for a world of hurt. And what I would really, really hate to have to see happen is have a lot of retaliatory attacks against Americans on U.S. soil. I think that could be a very terrible thing, or U.S. bases globally as well. Obviously, it's probably going to be a little hard to attack us on the homeland here, but through terroristic means, you could certainly do so very, very easily. But U.S. bases, I mean, they're a prime target overseas, and so this is not good, ladies and gentlemen. This is really, really, really not good, and look, I mean, he's been a supporter of war since day one. I mean, if you want to de-escalate war, one of the things you don't do is pull out of the Iran deal. One of the things you don't do is support a genocide in Yemen through allegiance with Saudi Arabia. One of the things you don't do is support genocide going on in Palestine and other places abroad. You don't do this, right? If you were anti-war, for instance, I would argue that if there was any chance of ending the war in Russia and the Ukraine, I think he actually had a real shot at doing that. But you have to put your foot down, and you have to say, all right, look, this could backfire. We got to have you join NATO, right? And you're going to have to probably give up some territory. And it's unfortunate because that shouldn't have to be the case. But, he's not doing any of this, right? And you know what he says, even when they go to negotiate, with places like the Ukraine and Russia, he's like, oh, well, you have to give up all this territory, and then you can't even join NATO for 20 years. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, right? So this man, and he's even on video, back in 2011, I believe, or it was 2013. I don't know. There's a video of it. I covered it in my last video. You guys can go all watch it. It says any president who can't, negotiate here is going to start a war with Iran. Right, he literally says it, right? And so this man, he can't negotiate, right? He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's sending the United States into a world of hurt. The economy is going to be decimated from this, at least for a while there. And even if it recovers, which I'm sure it will, it always does, right? Historically, it's not like this thing's last forever. You still lost all that money because if you lose 10%, it's going to take you even more, more than 10% to gain all that money back that you were originally at. So this is just ridiculous, right? On the economic front, it's ridiculous in terms of the lives that are going to be lost from this, and look, I think that we should start looking for impeachment, personally. I think this is unconstitutional. I think this is practically a declaration where you don't bomb 3 nuclear facilities, right? Especially nuclear facilities that are not even making nuclear weapons, as the United States intelligence committees have said, right? They're not making nuclear weapons, right? They said this was very clear. And what did Trump do? He gets on the media and says, all right, well, you know what? They're wrong. Like, what do you mean that they're wrong? You mean the head of your own intelligence agencies are wrong? What? Listen to yourself, right? He doesn't care. All he cares about is his lobby and where his money comes from, the military-industrial complex and the like, right? They got him in office. He's gonna give him a favor, right? And then his cronies, right? Insider trading. I mean, we know he's guilty of that. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at everything he's done here, the market manipulation recently. Let's say allegedly, right? But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what he's doing. And so, I think that this public official is not above critique. I think that we need to exercise our full authority to go after him in terms of due process and see where things go from there. But this is bad. I would buckle down, Americans. You're in for a world of hurt here, and I'm curious to see what you all have to say. About this, right? So please leave your comments down below. Be sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll be bringing you some more videos like this. So please subscribe. Helps out the algorithm, and we'll go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. Stay safe.